Why are you watching this on YouTube? Did you know this class is part of my free ongoing somatic healing program? You can skip this introduction, skip the ads, and get twice as much class content by going to alwaysvibin.com. But for now, subscribe and enjoy the class. Hello and welcome back to class. It is October 2024, and for this free healing program, we are going to be focusing this month on exiting the rabbit hole of rumination. Now, I can't cover everything that I want to cover just in these classes alone, so please make sure you check out the blog posts that come out this month. All of them are about rumination and will give you a lot more context and tools when working through your ruminative experiences. We are going to be doing a somatic exploration, is what I'd like to call it. We're going to be going top down and bottom up in experiencing the sensations and story awareness in our body. That means we'll be thinking of a scenario, noticing how it feels in the body, and also manipulating our body's expression and seeing what thoughts come up. And understanding this connection between the mind and the body and the wholeness of our experience can really help with rumination. And that is because when we ruminate, we are pulling all the awareness out of the body and pulling it straight up into our heads, which can feel nice sometimes. Sometimes whatever happened, whatever triggered the imprint of your trauma can be quite unpleasant to experience in the body. And so there is a potentially dissociative quality to rumination where it's like, oh, I don't want to be here. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to be aware of how that registers in my body. So let's stay up here in the mind. And it can give us this false sense of purpose, action. When you think about how our culture addresses problems, we immediately go into detective mode. Oh, I just need to find the clues. I just need to figure out the story just a little bit better. And then once I know that about myself, then I can stop being this way. Then I can stop feeling this way. If I can just solve the problem. When really that's just circling the problem. It's keeping us distant from the actual thing that we need to be aware of, which is what happened inside of us, in our nervous system, in our tissues, when that experience happened. Remembering the experience is important. It has so many uses, but when it comes to trauma resolution, processing, integration, release, whatever you want to call it, we need to come out of the story and move into the body and play with that connection, really learn how to get from here to here. And that's the purpose of today's class. So let's begin by just finding yourself a comfortable position. I'm choosing to sit upright on my bolster here, but you're welcome to find any position. It can be standing up, sitting up, lying down. All I would suggest is that you find a position that feels supportive, allows for some movement, because we will be playing with the posture a little bit, and also allows you to be alert. So if you are laying down, figure out some sort of arrangement so that you don't drift off to sleep while we do this. Then once we get there, let's just take a couple of breaths, coming in for a soft landing. Doesn't really matter how deep the breath is for this particular exercise, just noticing that you're breathing. Eyes can be open or closed. And see if there are any places in your body that you can soften just a little bit. Maybe it's your fingers, shoulders, your jaw, between your brow. Well done. And let's do a presence exercise called orienting. Wherever you are in your space, I would invite you to look around. Trying not to focus on any one thing in particular. Not worrying about anything that needs to be tidied up, just glaze right over top of those. And if this is too vast, you can look at your body. You can look behind you. You can name anything that you see. We have a primal instinct in us to be able to orient ourselves to our space and assess our own safety. So in this way, the invitation is to allow the nervous system to recognize I am here, I am now, and I am safe to be. There is no threat around me. We'll take just a couple more seconds here. Great. Then coming back to the screen when you're ready. Now we're going to start with the top-down approach. So I'm going to ask you to pause for a moment and think about some sort of scenario that's on the less than pleasant side of the scale, but really we're only looking for something between like a 2 or nothing higher than a 5 in terms of 0 being this thing didn't bother me at all, and 10 being this was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. We're looking in the more annoying range, mildly sad, something like that. The thing that came to mind for me as as an example was I accidentally called one of my coworkers by the wrong name in front of a bunch of people. And even just saying that, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So something in that ballpark. I'm just going to give you a minute to think of something mildly unpleasant between 2 and 5. No more than 5. If you need more time, that's fine. Just pause the video. Before moving forward, I want to address why I told you to pick something between a 2 and a 5. Whenever we practice with somatic healing, nervous system work, body-oriented modalities, we work with the principle of titration, which in simple terms is we're taking one small bite at a time. In a culture that really glorifies burnout, glorifies productivity and effort, we have expressions like no pain, no gain, grind hard, I'll sleep when I'm dead, things like that make you think like the way I can really do something, the best way is to do the most of it as fast as possible. And when it comes to trauma work, that could not be further from the truth. A lot of people that I really look up to refer to trauma as too much, too fast. So the worst thing we could do is bring on too much, too fast. And if anything, that can increase our risk of re-traumatization, which is not what we're here for. Rather, when we do these exercises and we take small bites at a time, we're giving our nervous system just enough discomfort to still be curious. Because our nervous system can understand that we are still in safety. So coming right in with a 10 on the scale will only bring the nervous system to a place where it has to shut off from the experience. There is no safety when you've gone from 0 to 10. So now that you understand that, if you need to pause the video and go choose a different experience to make it something a little bit more palatable, please do that. If you have something you feel like you're ready to work with, let's go ahead into it. So we'll start by finding some softness in the shoulders. We want to get as close to a neutral position as we can. If tension is just part of your neutral, that's okay. No worries. And you can choose to either close your eyes if that feels safe for you, or just give yourself a soft gaze where you kind of get that glassy look on your eyes. And looking down towards the floor can be helpful. If at any time during this experience you feel overwhelmed, I'm going to invite you to come back into the space by either reorienting or touching the body in a place that feels soothing. Maybe standing up, getting a glass of cold water, and taking a deep breath here. Then whenever you're ready, go ahead and go to that memory. So I'm remembering where I was and what happened. I'm going to be quiet for just a couple minutes here, and I want you to just stay with this memory. Now we're going to pause. If you need to wrap up part of the memory that's important, go ahead and do that. But in about 10 seconds, we'll move on to the next part. Now, keeping the gaze soft or the eyes closed, I invite you to work through the body with a curiosity, trying to find anything that's changed. With it being more of an uncomfortable memory, you might feel some sensations in the stomach or chest in particular. Those are some frequent hot spots. Maybe some tightness or twisting. Maybe not. Notice if your posture has changed at all, or if you feel any tension in places that you didn't notice before you went into that memory. A reminder to step back if anything ever feels overwhelming or like it's carrying you away. We're trying to stay present. So if movement helps you stay present with the sensations, move the body. If touching helps you stay present, then touch. There is no right way to explore your sensations. There's only your way. And I can't emphasize that enough. Maybe looking at the body can help you explore. Let's take just a few more seconds. We don't want to do too much at first. Great. Now, if that was enough for you, I invite you to come out of the experience and do something that feels resourceful, like I mentioned before. If you would like to go in for a second round, if that would be helpful for you, then go ahead and re-enter that memory. Still the memory between a 2 and a 5. If you need to shift it to something easier, do so. But if you're headed to a second round, if that will be nourishing, go ahead and take the next minute here to come back up into that mind space, eyes closed or gaze softened, and revisit that memory. And when you're ready, letting the energy move from your mind and come back into the curious awareness of your body. Notice if anything changed after a second round of interacting with this memory. Maybe the sensations have lessened. Maybe they have intensified. Something new might have arisen, while other things might have completely disappeared. We are not here to fix anything, to change anything. We're just here to explore and to notice. And once again, being mindful of your capacity of presence, stepping back when enough is enough, and trusting yourself if that ever comes up for you. Only taking a few more seconds, a little shorter round this time. Well done. Letting go of the awareness and finding any movement that feels nourishing for you. That might be something vigorous. It might be slow, like the stretching and movement I'm doing. Might be a twist. You can look around your space if that's helpful. Stretch out the face, offer some self-touch. Let's just resource for the next few moments here. Well done. If you need more, you can always pause, take a longer interim period there. You're ready to go into the second stage, or a reminder that can be enough for today. You can come back and do the second part another time if you want to. If it would be helpful and nourishing for you to move on to the second part, you are welcome to join me back in your supportive position, whatever that looks like. Now make sure you can have some sort of adjustment or movement wherever you are. So if you're laying, give yourself whatever props you need to be able to move your body. We're going to go into a stereotypical postural expression of heaviness, sadness. So at any point, if you feel like whatever posture I've cued you into is bringing that emotion for you, the thoughts or whatever, then that's enough. We want to be able to stay present. The goal here isn't to continue going until you're in collapse. Please don't do that, okay? We're here to hear the whispers so we don't have to hear the screams. So I will be cueing you into a pretty aggressively, quote unquote, posture of this emotion. And it's for you to decide where in that cueing order you have gotten to that place and don't need to go any further. So with that being said, we're going to start by bringing the chest into a collapsed sort of posture. Eyes are either closed or with a soft gaze on the floor. From here, the shoulders can come up and forward, and we're just going to pause here. Notice if any emotion or memory arises for you, just with this little adjustment. From here, you can drop the chin down and create a little crinkle in the forehead. Noticing what this posture is doing to change the mood, the emotion, the trail of thought. From here, we can bring the shoulders more forward and hands up toward the face. They might tuck into the chest too. We're thinking of a collapsed position, like you're balling yourself up. And we'll just stay right here as the final step in this posture. And you can notice if this posture reminds you of anything. What does this posture look like in your life? Coming out of it at any time that you feel like you're outside of your window of presence. But if there's still presence and curiosity, you can see where this posture has been present in your life. We'll only be here for a few more moments. And when you're ready, begin by creating some focus in your eyes. Look at the position of your body and find the order that feels correct for you to be able to slowly unravel yourself. For me, that looks like the hands first, finding movement in my wrists, opening my arms and my shoulders. Taking a more generous breath. A little sigh. Maybe blowing it out. That's helpful for me. Giving yourself a smile or some self-touch. Let's just take a moment to resource and reorient to our space and our bodies. So what we just did was a little introduction to our bodies. And when we cultivate this relationship with our bodies over time, we'll be able to understand the space between remember this, the imprints here and the story here, we'll be able to be involved in this space between and learn how to come out to the story when it feels helpful and how to bring ourselves back into the imprints where we can make meaningful change in our healing process and begin to really integrate what we need to. And really, the simplest way of saying this is learning to understand and befriend this body that is so much of a part of us that rumination has really detached us from over time.